Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. And it is that time of the year again, everyone, where we collate all of our favorite selections throughout the year, whether they were songs that John has given to me, songs I've given to John, or some of the great songs that you guys have offered up for our Friday episodes. John and I have gone off and created our top three for each of them with some honorable mentions that we will go over. Which is something we do at the end of every year to kind of fill in this gap between Christmas and New Year's and before we start off on a new calendar year and a new trek into songs yet uncharted. So here we are with today's episode. It will be devoted to the one and only John over there, Bumblebee. He has offered up some great songs throughout the year. And I have made a list of some of my favorites. Unfortunately, I had to winnow them down to just three, so there are some. To be honest, we have this honorable mention, outside looking in sort of list of songs that didn't quite crack the top three. But I honestly could have used an honorable mention list for my honorable mentions because it was another great year sponsored by John Suggestions. So we are going to dig into it, get started here right away, and I'm going to go over my top three, which I've already cheekily snuck in kind of for, because right out of the gate, I am going to offer up Madhu Makdar with Imahar. And John gave me two versions of that track, both of which deserve, to be noted here. Not only was it amazing guitar work and sort of this East meets West synergy kind of sound that I found undeniably attractive, but it was just the story of the man and who he is and what he stands for, kind of his belief system. And I just found it to be really, really interesting conversations. And I think the fact that we could do two episodes devoted to two different versions of the same song and still have really great conversation about the guy in both of them without treading a lot of the same path speaks to how interesting he really is and how great his music is. So there we are, Madhu Makdar with Imolhar. Next up, Ought. Today more than any other day. What a fun song this was. I absolutely enjoyed this track. I look forward to hearing more from them. So big thank you to John for opening my eyes to Alt in the year 2025. And finally, a trek that we continued on this year and covered a lot of great stuff from him. And it was incredibly hard to pick my favorite. And God, at times I sit here and wonder why he isn't in the top three or how he easily could have. I know why he's not, and we'll get to that spoiler alert coming up here. But easily any of his tracks could have been in my top three, and that is Mr. Tom Waits, who I've done a near 180 on, which is pretty funny because John had described sort of a similar metamorphosis in his kind of approach and feelings toward Mr. Waits at some point in his life, and now he's kindly taken me by the hand and taken me down the same path. So I'm going to offer up as Blue Valentine as my selection, but honestly, Closing Time or the Hooker in Minneapolis song, all of these were just fabulous with some excellent storytelling. He makes you feel like you need a shower after the end of every one of these tracks, and I just the grit and the realness of it all, I think, is what, and it's really literary in the way he writes his songs and his lyrics. And on top of that, the music has this such an atmospheric quality to it that is really undeniable. I mean, he makes you feel like you're at the end of the smoke-filled bar just listening to a guy croon about shit you would not have expected. I loved this. I loved all of the stuff we've done by Mr. Waits, and I look forward, hopefully, to some more in the year 2026. Now, John, I'm going to let you finally get a word in here edgewise. I feel like I've commandeered this episode thus far. But, John, please let us know your honorable mentions before we both get into our top three.
Oh, we'll see you next time on this. So yeah, just quickly, I mention this before, but Tom Waits, I still have memories of. I think I was 16 years old, and a guy in a study I shared with him at school would wake me up in the morning to early Tom Waits. singing in the neighborhood. And when your dissonance isn't in your palate yet at the age of, like, 15 or 16, and suddenly, oh, oh my God, it's like fucking torture. And now I absolutely love that song, and everything is done, to be fair. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, so interesting. So yeah, so likewise for all three episodes, we can do one on songs that I provided, songs that Andy suggested, and the viewers want. We're both going to do our top three picks. It's a bit, weird picking your own stuff, but we've done it every year, so why not? And I sometimes, I mean, Andy's probably a bit more sort of circumspect in the way he picks this. He bases the songs, that he'll base the songs that he suggested for me on my reaction, but I went for a bit of combination of that and just how I felt and how much I like the songs. And so so yeah.
Yeah.
And the honorable mentions, though, I will say there's some which I think were real surprises. um Folk Bitch Trio, Cathode Ray, I think is a new, one of three albums of all female acts this year we covered. And beautiful, atmospheric, and the harmonies were to die for. Really sort of very special sound there, and there's one that I haven't dug into as much as I should have done. So yeah, perhaps a bit more on them. Um, Another honorable mention would be John Martin's Solidaire. It's just, again, I'm blown away by this album, and the connection between that, the title track, and Nick Drake as well, and the contrast between, the sort of this big, burly, larger than life character that's a folk singer, and the idea of Sid Vicious being beaten up by John Martin is just delicious. And contrast that with this sullen, introverted guy who's got genuine genius of Nick Drake, are the two odd bedfellows, but apparently they were friends. And the other honorable mention would be Pete Doherty and Salome. I really like the Libertines a lot. I think Pete Doherty's solo work can be hit or miss, but I think this song, the composition, the way it was put together, showed a real kind of maturity and almost like three steps up from other stuff he was doing. I thought it was just insanely beautifully and well crafted, and almost visceral, and sort of like the vibe came across. So they're my honorable mentions.
Yeah, and they're all great ones at that. I enjoyed listening to
Oh,
every one of them.
and there's one that didn't quite sneak in, but just from you were saying about art and the fun, I mean, it's almost honourable mention that you alluded to. Longfin Kelly and the Lamberton Lamplighter was the same sort
Huh.
of
Yeah.
vibe to it as well, a real fun as well. And yeah, don't get me wrong now. But anyway, yeah, over to you for the top three proper.
Yeah, yeah, fair play and great shout to all of them, John. So my number three, obviously, all of this has been really difficult, but it was no less so trying to determine my, third place here in this list of my top three. After some deliberation, it became more and more obvious to me that it had to be the track "Light" by Parcels. Mm. I love this part. It does have this kind of like funky kind of R&B, sound to it, but wonderful how the bass is kind of expanded on that root riff, starts doing all these like extra flourishes. That your man Skinny, I'm just going to call him Skinny Aaron Rodgers on the Telecaster, and if you know who that is, you know why I'm calling. He looks very much like a emaciated Aaron Rodgers, killing it with those guitar tones, and just that strum pattern is just terrific. Just watching and listening to this performance, and that's another thing. These performance slash track like songs where we get where it's kind of a twofer. You get something to behold visually as you take in the music. Always kind of gets like a bit of a leg up in the decision making process because you get that added bit of entertainment. So yeah, watching and listening to this performance was such a blast. I really enjoyed the fusion that this track had, and it somehow pulled off with these shades of jazz, R&B, even gospel in some of the group vocal delivery. hip hop. I mean, I remember thinking this could easily have been like a West Coast rap beat, that Nate Dogg would croon over before, one of his rap counterparts would come in freestyling or whatever. So and it was all sort of seen through this indie rock lens as well. So there's a lot of moving parts going on here as far as genre hopping or merging, and I really appreciated and respected their ability to do that and take it seriously. Um, Add to this the interesting dynamic, some incredible live studio production and clear command of their instruments and harmonization of their voices. And it all just made for a really impressive final product. It was just an incredible example of genre melding that really stuck with me. And I'm becoming quite a big fan of this talented group of musical chameleons. So, yeah, Parcels Light. If you haven't seen the episode or heard the track, I suggest you do both. Go ahead,
I
John.
will just also sort of build on what you said. I do think on the live performance, we usually pick one of three. There's some others, but it's Audio Tree, the basement as well.
Yeah,
That bizarre jumble of letters that we never know what they are, KEXP or something like that, and
yes.
Jules later, with some, tonight and all that sort of stuff. But I think that it's really always fun to see bands play live in those situations, and they're not. These are all studio live, as it were, so it's still a very controlled environment.
Yes.
I think the really good songs are hugely elevated by this. It's nice when the songs are decent, but when they're really good songs, it really takes it up a notch, and you see that
Yes.
musicianship, and this is one of those. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when there's that many moving parts and sometimes one person doing multiple roles. And you really get to see it all unfold and it becomes that much more immersive and educational because you see how things are happening, not just hear them happening. So yeah, I completely agree with you, John.
okay, my number three is Slow Dive. Golden Hair, live at the Best Kept Secret Festival 2014.
Nice. These guitars are gorgeous. The way they're working together, all that sound that they've created is quite dense, and the deftness of the mallet strikes on the drums are absolutely superb.
So yeah, it's really interesting, interesting relationship with Slow Dive. So when they first came out, they were this soppy side of shoegaze,
Mhm.
and most of the music press hated on them. And I don't think I was immune to that. I pretty much turned my nose up for that. I preferred the sort of more sort of um, faster and more energetic side, something like Ride or whatever. My Bloody Valentine to some extent as well. But over the years, I've come to really appreciate Slow Dive, and they've changed their music as well from the first three or so albums. This is a later one, but the video itself is quite special. The girl with the blue hair says it all. Um,
Yeah,
I find this quite emotional every time I watch it, actually, because the start you get these ethereal lyrics from Sid Barrett's original song. Um, which has this sort of timeless fairy tale quality to it. And then we just go off on a sort of an amazing masterclass of powerful and poignant sort of guitar play, matched by the peerless control of your man on the drums, who who so was previously in the Charlottes, and you can see why it jumped ship. The change of pace and emphasis and the lighting and everything, these peaks and troughs, it's just beautiful. It is the only Slow Dive episode on the channel so far, and that will be rectified in 2026.
Excellent. Well, that's first time I'm hearing that. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I loved this track. It was a lot of fun watching the performance. I mean, you've already touched on Old Blue Hair, but she really, I mean, you talk about emotional heft. I think it's perfectly encapsulated in her reaction to the performance that she was there to witness. The drumming and the both those guitars were fabulous as well. I think at times I described the movement of this track as glacial, but then as it picked up, it became like watching a plant, a seedling sprout and sort of come to fruition over a time lapse. It was just a lovely, lovely sound. And I think a good example of really solid shoegaze music.
Definitely.
So I will jump into mine. And this is where it gets really tough for me because honestly, I couldn't decide between one and two. And really, they're not that different as we'll come to find out. But it is Monoform by Vessels. These drums are so intense and awesome. I mean, they are. I love a lot of what's going on here. I love honestly everything that's going on here, but the drums to me stand out. Comparatively speaking, sort of head and shoulders above the rest. There are these really interesting synthy key bits and all kinds of interesting sounds that are injected into this, but the pace of this whole track has been set by these incredible drums that are going on. Yeah, I'm loving this. Shoot, man, good God. Uh, I could probably just say the word drums, and that would succinctly sum up my explanation for placing this track number two on my year-end list. Unfortunately, I don't think I can get off that easy. And to be fair, there are other wildly redeeming qualities to this track aside from the percussions. There was this really infectious, earworming bit of electronic key and synth work that I think I described as being like a hazy blanket of electronic humidity kind of lingering in the air. And the track also features this wonderful pause for just a moment before the drums just come rolling back in like a herd of buffalo on the open plains. And I think it was like sort of at that point that I knew this song was going to stick with me for quite some time. And while it's only been about 10 months or so since I first heard it, I can confirm that it is this deeply immersive track is still one of my highlights from 2025, and I have revisited it plenty of times. This was fucking amazing. I don't know if there's been a band more catered to the stuff that I gravitate toward than the stuff this band has offered. So kudos to you for giving, of all the tracks you've given me, so many of them have resonated with me, but I don't know if any of them were as perfectly cut from the Andy cloth as these guys, and I just had a ball listening to them. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'd say this was a real gift, mined from the deepest recesses of the vault. I think the album was sat there for about 6 years without me listening to it,
Wow.
and then sort of a couple of years ago. So I know, oh, here we go. Which is another great thing about this channel is actually make me get off my arse and dig out music that I've had for ages and never listened to.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. And I had a lot of fun researching in it as well, and even going on Google Earth and seeing the street where they recorded the album and the studio is no longer there. I think it's there's a trucking company and then a cleaning company next to it. Really interesting stuff. It is
Yeah.
a great album. I think I remember showing you off camera. I said I've just got this through the post. So I hadn't told you about it yet, but just the design of it is just beautiful. And this. And I knew what your top two were going to be from your reactions anyway. But this one, after I would say, has a more sort of industrial sound to it.
Yes,
Not
it
in
very much
musical
does.
industrial, but like steampunk. It sounds
Yep.
more like they're constructing stuff. And it fits in with that sort of, artwork in there.
Yeah.
But this is an amazing album that you've listened to the first two tracks only so far on the channel. There's another great one which I, alluded to, Meat Man, Piano Tuner Prostitute, which is, title of the year, obviously, but it has this sort of Tom-esque like vocals over the top, which is incredible. And there's other really good songs on there. Art Check's really good as well. So yeah, it's a great, great, great album.
Yeah, it is. More on that to come.
Yeah. My number two, I did have trouble picking two. It was weird. I could pick number three and number one, but number two I had a little bit of trouble, and there was some that started in and started out again, etc. But in the end, I plumbed for one, which really, ah, King Creosote, John Hopkins, John Taylor's Month Away.
I love to look out at the sea from the swing park here at Rimby Beach. Today John Taylor starts his month away on a boat 110 miles east of Aberdeen. A dozen men, 30 days with 24 hours in each of shattered boyhood dreams and not much sleep.
Okay. So obviously there was an allusion to Aberdeen there, but you can hear the shades of the Scottish accent coming through, at least to these ears. I could be totally wrong. I'm gonna get with Johnny. He's gonna be like, yeah, they're from Trenton, New Jersey. But no, it does to me sound very much like it's like a Scottish seaman talking about a longer time away from home out on the waters. His voice is beautiful for this. I mean, it matches this sound really, really well.
I just think this is special. To my mind, it's probably the most beautiful and haunting and affecting song of the year that I've listened to. I think the really genius thing about this, King Creosote's been going for a while, and he's produced any number of albums, and he has got a lovely voice, and he just construct these really lovely sort of off folk songs. But the soundscape that accompanied this song and this whole album, it starts off with them in a like cafe on the seafront, ordering their food and cluttering away, and that's the first track of the album. And you can feel the condensation running down the windows inside, and sort of that warm, muggy feeling of being in a sort of overheated place where it's freezing outside, and spray of the you can feel all that. And then this song as well, there's bits in it where it fades away and you have the seagulls, and it's just wonderful, and it really adds something to it. And I think it elevates it to another level. I think his vocals convey the underlying emotions of quite a simple tale of these people just going out to sea fishing. Um, but I mean, it's just heartbreaking when he says, "Oh, for once, I'd much rather be me," and you get that. It's just, and the way it sort of floats off into the clouds at the end as it musically finishes is just, yeah, it's just a wonderful track, wonderful album.
Yeah, absolutely. This seafarer's lamentation about the obligation to work and going out to sea, and the mood was that they created with the music was so connected to the lyrics and the mood therein as well, that it was just a perfect storm that created all of this feeling for the listener. I know I felt it when I listened to it too, and the atmosphere that you described. I mean, I was there. I smelled sea salt. I felt sea breeze and sand beneath my toes. I don't know if there's a track that made me feel more in the environment that it was sung about or from. And that says a lot because you really have to, it takes a deft songwriter's hand to be able to create that feeling. And again, I don't know if I connected in that regard to any song you've given me, like I did with this one. I mean, I felt like I was looking off the coast of, Scotland or England and getting ready for a month on the sea, missing, whatever, my loved ones, my family, the girl of my fancy or whatever. But it was very moving in that regard. So I think that's a really great shout, John. Okay, so my number one, while we're talking about seafaring vessels, let's get back to vessels, because it comes to no surprise that they would also be my number one spot, and they occupy it with the live performance of their track, The Trap.
Reminds me of like a thriller movie or something. It's like these heavy-footed industrial footsteps approaching from a distance. Interesting shit already out of the gate. Now a more digital sound. Like digital guitar or something. Ooh. That's pretty. Yeah. Those sticks have seen better days. I'm gonna fucking love this, I already know it. These aerial shots are awesome.
This probably only beat out monoform because of what I spoke about earlier. This being able to witness the chemist in the lab is one of the great joys of, experiencing music, especially music like this, where you've got several multi-instrumentalists doing several different things. And the way it was shot in this sort of like panoramic view gave you a glimpse into every facet of, what was constructing this amazing song. So just another example of this intersection of gorgeous cinematography and superb musicianship. This track again underscored the insane talents of the entire band, but again, most specifically Tim Mitchell, whose style of drumming I have become enamored with over the past year. I really should note though that this song wasn't just simply a drummer song. The bass work was incredible, and so was the beautiful guitar work. And the use of the variety of keys and sound manipulations and modulation throughout was nothing short of impressive. Their ability to command multiple instruments is impressive enough, but to see that multi-instrumentalism on display live as they juggled instruments and roles within this track was what sealed the deal for me, and solidified this track as the number one spot on my 2025 list of tracks that you have given me, John. I fucking love this band, and I loved this track.
Again, like you said before, I think it was great to see them, do their alchemy, as it were. I think I will say this more than once across the course of these three episodes, but that sort of post-rock genre, I think, relies on having a really capable and cumulative and astounding drummer or drummers. And these guys definitely got it. And you see the other guys, chiming in with it. And it was interesting to see the working parts, how they move from instrument to instrument as well. And as you're going around, there's a real sort of closeness from the camera, so you feel like you're
very intimate the way it was shot.
it almost came across a bit like, and forgive me for saying this, but like a jazzy "Oh Brother." It's that
Sure.
sort of, muso sort of type thing to it, but with that sort of looseness to it as well. So yeah,
Yes.
it's a great pick. I really love this album, obviously, and I love all the tracks on it. So I'm really pleased that it connected with you the way it did.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. My number one spot is really easy for me to pick because it's just awesome. It was nothing to do with your reaction. But it's Stone Roses Fool's Gold.
Mm. Nice hand drums. Nice bass. Nice little bit of guitar too. It's early days, but I can already tell I'm gonna fucking love the rhythm section in this song. Just love the way it's, set the groundwork for the whole thing. Don't get me wrong, that little added bit of guitar is cute and everything. I don't mean to sound so pejorative with it, but it's the rhythm section for me that's really shining. Oh, nice little wah.
The really sad news of Manny passing did affect me, and there's not many times that has done, but I was genuinely quite upset by it. But it gave us the opportunity to rejoice in celebrating the impact that he and his music made on my life and many, many other people's lives. Um, this song is quite simply one of my favorite songs ever. It's in my top 10. It is a masterpiece for the ages, and his contribution is one of the key things in it as well. I now understand, which I didn't at the age of 19, the influence of krautrock on this, and many other things. But yeah, a lot I can hear in this now. I understand. But yeah, I just thought this is just a great, great song, and I'm really pleased you enjoyed it as well.
Well, I
Even
don't
if you
think
didn't, even if you didn't, it would still be my number one.
it was hard not to. I'll say that, and I don't think you could have done the man, any better justice than bringing this track. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know every single Stone Roses song, obviously, but I trust your judgment and I trust my own ears. And what I heard was a man who was absolutely in command of his bass, and it had all this funky rhythmic goodness to it. I mean, it reminded me of early hip hop music and the stuff that they would sample to create that early iteration of hip hop. And I also heard, like, oddly, not to take away from Manny, but and shine light on others, but this Morello-esque kind of guitar work through bits and pieces of it that I found wildly impressive and unexpected. So all in all, I mean, I don't know if you could have picked a better song to pay homage to Manny, and I had a lot of fun listening to this. And it's a shame when artists like that leave. Spoiler alert, I have somebody on when we get to my episode who kind of had a similar effect on me and a lot of the bands that I listen to as well. And it sucks doing those episodes where we have to, like, sort of in our own way, not that it matters a hill of beans in the long run, but kind of say goodbye to some of these guys that really influenced our musical tastes and musical upbringing. So I really respect the shit out of your selection of this song and Manny's work on it. So yeah, this is a great shout, man.
Cool. All right. I guess only anything left for us to wrap things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Until tomorrow, when we'll be covering, I believe, my tracks, and we'll be saving the best for last, obviously. So let me go ahead and tie a bow on this thing and say, John, thanks so much for all the great songs you offered me and the rest of us throughout the year of 2025. And I very much look forward to what you have in store for all of us in 2026. And folks out there in the listening audience, please feel free to drop down in the comments some of your favorite songs that John has brought to the table over the last year. We'd love to hear from you guys. Also, like, share, and or subscribe if you would be so kind. I would imagine a lot of you, if you're tuning in here to see us, discuss the songs throughout the year, you're likely fitting under a lot of that that billage. But nonetheless, if you haven't, feel free to join the party. We love hearing from you guys, and we love reacting to the songs that not only we give each other, but the songs you guys offer us up. So until next time, hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. Happy New Year, guys.